All right. Are we ready? Then let's begin. All right, come on up, girls.
Hi, I'm Johanna Burcham. I'm Jessica Acevedo. I'm Jade Essling. Today we'd like to talk to you guys about the Zero Waste Committee and our ideas. We contacted Reed McFarland about the garbage in our school, and he said approximately 15 bags of garbage are produced every day from the school. Each bag is about 40 by 46 inches and holds about 45 gallons. We would like to change those numbers and reduce waste. Here are some of our ideas.
We would like to get recycling bins in our school, but we don't know where we would put the recycling afterwards, so that's kind of a stump that we have for that.
Instead of the green plastic bags that hold the garbage, we could either get biodegradable ones or recycled plastic bags made from used plastics.
We would like to get milk dispensers in the lunchroom. Those would limit cardboard containers, and 8 out of 15 bags of garbage are from the lunchroom. And instead of using those cardboard containers, we would use plastic cups that the lunch ladies could wash.
We have this stapler idea. This isn't a very huge crisis, but it would help. It gets rid of staples in the recycling bins, and you wouldn't have to buy staples anymore. And it's about the same amount as real staples.
Wait, hold up. Say that one again. What does that do?
It's basically a
staples
Demonstrate.
Okay.
So it's a mechanical dog ear type thing of attaching 2 pieces of paper almost?
Yeah, so it just folds it.
Oh, yeah.
And it can go up to 5 pieces of paper.
Hmm.
And then teachers wouldn't have to buy staples anymore.
Give it a little tug. How good is it?
Yeah, it does come out after a while, but
Okay.
We have a lot of ideas and we still have a lot to figure out. We would like to meet with the Zero Waste Committee. We have a lot of students that would like to join the committee and share their ideas as well. Do you have any other questions?
So you said plastic cups in the lunchroom, but that isn't going to increase your garbage output, or?
Washable, reusable.
Oh, washable, reusable plastic cups. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought they were disposable. And the recycling problem, do we do anything in terms of recycling at the school right now?
we
What
do
do we do?
paper recycling, yeah.
We do paper recycling. And where does that end up at the end of the day?
We're not sure, we still have to figure that out.
Ends up at the landfill. The county takes it and we make money on it.
There's bins that are in the school here.
Yep.
Are you guys aware of how much we've already cut down on the waste stream?
Yeah,
Okay.
or Mr. Nelson say 2 dumpsters or something.
Yeah, and we got rid of 2 dumpsters. We got rid of, I didn't even need 3 dumpsters.
I don't know if we've looked at it.
And how many pickups?
I just talked to Reed, and we've gotten rid of 3 dumpsters.
Yep. Berto was telling me about it too. And he said we've really cut the back.
Yeah. So we've made good progress, but I think we have more things to do.
So is this, the Zero Waste Committee is a student group? Is that?
Well, I think they're thinking of, we had our waste committee, which we haven't had for a while, but I think having some student committee members would be a wonderful idea.
Here's an idea that the waste committee we're kind of going through is figuring out how to compost the waste going out. Because like you said, most of it's coming from the cafeteria. So most of it's a food type waste. We had a tough time with it, so I'll challenge you girls to figure out what do you do with the food waste?
Yeah, and the 3rd graders, they use vermicomposting, so
Mhm.
they use worms, and that's what we're working out with that.
Say that again?
Worms.
Oh, worm compost.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think like potentially in the future, we could open a garden in the courtyard, and we could put compost in there, and then the student groups could go and plant seeds and watch it grow.
Good ideas.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think the first step would be the board deciding if they want to include some students on some committees.
I think we could do that.
Any idea how many milk cartons, or, I mean, I heard you mention that on that we're going through here?
We calculated it was about like 99,000 per year.
And there's other containers also, right?
Yeah,
Some
for the
juice,
yeah.
juice containers, and they're,
So you could also get that milk dispenser for juice. So make it juice and stuff. They use the same cups.
I think our challenge up here is some of the recycling is cost prohibitive, and my understanding is correct with plastic and stuff. So I think looking at ideas for maybe not recycling, but reduce more cartons.
it would be interesting. I wonder if that would be more expensive than cartons if we just, or would there be a cost saving? I don't know.
We
I
can
think it'd be
maybe
more labor intensive.
can challenge the proposers to come up and tell us how do you think it'll balance out energy-wise? Kind of the cost to wash them versus cartons, because the cartons are basically wax paper. So there would be energy required to build those, and then compare that to washing or that sort of thing.
And are the cartons being recycled?
I don't know, we'd have to ask somebody.
Aren't they just being dumped
Yeah, they're dumped in with all the rest of
They probably are dumped in with the garbage.
Wax paper, is that what
It would be recyclable, but then you have that food component of it, and I don't know if we can recycle that. Because that's,
another,
and probably rinse them.
Yeah, come out and rinse them and then recycle.
Yep, so,
What do you?
Further, you probably need to refine further your idea about the gardening and whatnot. Because 6 months out of the year, if school is in session and generating compost and waste, the courtyard goes, that's a big thing. I mow the courtyard all along, that's one of my jobs. Yes, you have to figure out who's going to leave garden, garden, and take care of the summertime.
And I have put garden help. And after that,
I think another issue, or not an issue, maybe a challenge was to have, when is going to be, if we do with this milk carton thing and getting a separate, is you getting the students in line? I mean, there's probably going to be some education there that's going to, to say, hey, this is where you dump this is where you dump that. But it'd just be another component of it, but a good one.
And over half of the garbage produced from the school, like daily, is from the lunchroom. So that's a good place to get that.
A good place to start.
Yeah.
but yeah, we actually have cut down rather drastically on the waste stream from what it had been even, 2 years ago? And it was mainly due to the cardboard and paper recycling. We're just about at 100%, what do you think?
Pretty close.
Close? Yeah, so we're doing better that way, but yeah, if you guys can figure out that food problem, that was the one that we had a tough time with, because we considered a few different things, but winter comes into play, and that's what messed everything up.
Well, and the other thing is we wanted to not take on too many things at once, so now we've got one success and maybe we can have two of them.
So,
But it's nice to have some fresh, young minds.
yeah, sure.
And we've got a lot of other students that would like to volunteer.
That's what it's going to take.
Good.
We want to change how we do our food and stuff. It's just the school board or teachers, it's kids that are eat your food. So, good idea. I'm thinking our next waste management meeting might be like a June, July. Is that something you'd be willing to meet in the summer? If you have school email, and I can communicate.
do we want, how many were you thinking of being on the committee? 2?
2 or 3 have told me that they're interested for one of us. Like at least like 5 or 6, I'd say. And then adding us to about 8.
Okay. 8 additional committee members can cause chaos, but,
Well,
but
they may not be, they can just add their ideas too, and tell us them.
that's what I was going to suggest, is the 8 of you that you know of, by all means, get together and stuff like that, maybe form the student part of it, and then have 2
2 or 3.
or 3 on the waste committee and presenting the ideas. I think that would work out pretty good. Sound good to you girls?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, our holder supposed to start to fly. Give her to you. Look at that.
Yeah, sure. I was wondering about that.
Speaking of yours,
Do you have that sheet that I
I
gave you?
did
Do they
not.
have that?
They do not have the sheet.
Okay. So basically, this year we piloted 3 different types of math curriculums. There was, you guys did the Saxon updated version. 2nd and 5th grade did math expressions, and 1st and 3rd grade did bridges. And so we got to do some different visits at different schools. We went to East Grand Forks
And Cohasset, Grand Rapids.
So we watched both curriculums in act. We got the ideas for those curriculums based on research of calling other schools and looking at their test scores. And so that was a long process that we took like a year doing. And then we put it into the classroom, and we, as a core committee / everyone who piloted, made the decision we would go with math expressions based off the pros and the cons.
And I'm looking back at my 30 years of teaching at Lake Hurwitz, and I think we've had 2 different math curriculums that I can put my hands on that we've made adoptions for in 30 years. So this would be our 3rd adoption. Scott Forsman was one of them, and then the Saxon math, we've got K through 6 up until this past year. So,
And I would say Saxon is it's set up the exact same, so the kids get really used to their exact type of word problems, and then they go to take a test that's not set up the same way, and they solve it the way they're used to doing it. And so the math expressions, from what I've taught so far, is very much about the why to math. And so it's got whole group, but the whole group is different because it's more student-led. So the kids get to solve a problem, and then you have to really enforce through why. So you have, Colleen who's really visual, showing that she's doing show and telling, and I'm very computational and doing it a different way. So it's very much to have the kids explain to each other how they think and how they do it, and kind of have their new ahas. And I would say for me too, the concepts, it's unit-based, and I wasn't sure I would like that, but the homework part of it has a remembering piece that, in 5th grade, they do a remembering piece every day before they come into math. And in 2nd grade, you do that for homework. So, they're hitting all the skills that Spiral, Saxon did, but that's not your curriculum. You're, enforcing and trying to get them to remember their core skill. And especially in 2nd grade, that's big for me. We did a huge unit on addition and subtraction. And with the regrouping, that's a super hard concept, and you just get so used to teaching them, you cross this out, and you turn it to this, and you turn it to this. But this way really shows you why you do it and how you do it, so even as a teacher, you're like, that makes sense. I understand it a little bit better. So I feel like it takes the time to really make them understand what they're doing, so it just makes all the things easier as they go on.
and I piloted, we went back and we did the Saxon, which is one of them that we took off the table right away because the new version of Saxon updated. They really hadn't changed much from prior years, and lots of typos in there and different things else. And I thought just for a professional group to come in and make the revisions, they didn't do a very good job of updating. So we took that one off the table and we were looking at bridges and math expressions and visiting these other schools. Grand Rapids, Cohasset did the math expressions, and all of the teachers there just really were raving about it. They really liked the hands-on component of it. They had a morning meeting, which a lot of us already do in our rooms, especially in the primary grades, which kind of do the calendar skills, but then they're also concentrating on a lot of the skills that are in your unit at that time. And then it reviews a lot of the kind of the spiraling thing that we talked about in Saxon that they're known for, which in other words, you do something and then you just keep on bringing it up again. So it's not you're done with adding and subtraction, now you're going on to the next unit. But math expression does that through their calendar skills on a weekly basis, or on their, like you said, their homework.
Right.
And then we went to Grand Forks, or East Grand Forks, and there is where we went to bridges. And that was another one that was really highly recommended by other schools. And even the teachers here, the first grade and the third grade, have piloted, and they really enjoyed using it. But getting it from the other schools, and what we've heard there is that there's the initial cost, but then there's a lot of cost and time to implement it. Teacher time. I mean, this was from superintendents, principals, and the classroom teachers. They were talking about how hard it was to implement and get it going, and the extra costs that they didn't foresee in the.
So this will go up to the 6th grade?
The 6th grade is doing what high school's doing now. So it's pre-K, so now the pre-K kids will be able to have the math expressions as well. Because right now we do their own.
The younger kids?
Pre-K to 5.
2 to 5.
Yep.
Now, I know we went, at the senior high level, we went to a new math teaching.
That was
Is there a,
6 through 12.
There is a correlation.
there?
We met with both the math teachers, and they both agreed that the style and teaching of bridges and math expressions met well with theirs as well.
okay.
So,
Yeah, it feeds well into their program. That's what we did not view one that wouldn't feed into
Sure.
theirs. And this has a computer component.
they've got a lot of technology, and not to toot our own horns, but I think that the school we visited, I feel like we utilize the technology, and I feel like if you don't use that part, like, I don't know how to teach it, because it's so much better, and you can get so much data from there. They can take their tests online. And part of the thing with the testing online that I find is, like, you do all of this work in math, and then they go to 3rd grade, take their MCA, and it's on the computer, and they've never done that before. Well, it comes to, I had a student come up to me like 2 weeks ago, and she was like, do I go this way or this way for addition and subtraction? Because you only teach them right to left. Well, when you type in, you go left to right. So she was like, oh, I used it wrong on the last one. So, you know, it's just getting them used to, as well, computer testing and using your paper and transferring that over. Because, let's be honest, we're all going the technology way in the world, so.
And especially with 2nd grade and their computer skills and their dexterity is not there
Right.
like you would like them to be. But
They've
by
done
3rd
really well with
grade,
it.
3rd grade, they are testing online, and there's a big jump there.
And it's not just unit tests they have in this curriculum. It's not t-tests at the end. It's all by big ideas. So they sort it out, and that way you're being quizzed and tested, like 5 questions every big idea to make sure you understood that key concept. So then you take the test, you can see like if they've mastered that standard. And if not, you can go back with title teachers, reteach, because there's a reteach section, which is really good for title teachers. And they can do the reteach lesson with them and then retest. So,
There's also a special ed component.
yeah,
I believe there
there's
was.
a lot of data into it.
And
which
then
is
there
nice.
wasn't there, I thought there was a pre-test too before you.
Yeah.
So they,
We have pre-test before, and then we group them, and it tells you, like, when they take the test online, it tells you what standards are in this unit, what standards they've mastered, which ones they've not mastered, and then you can group them throughout the unit. Big ideas, move them around. So, yeah.
Are any of the, or more local, if you want to call them that, schools using it, like Warroad, Roseau, Kitson?
I'm pretty sure
Little Fork?
Roseau uses math expressions.
Okay.
I would have to look back. We have that big document.
Yeah.
But a majority of them were math expressions, bridges, a couple go math.
But we looked at schools that were getting star ratings on the,
Okay.
and that's what we asked what they were using. So that's the curriculums we pursued.
Okay.
Those.
There's the method to the madness, huh?
It was a long method.
So, and from what I've, different people that are coming out of the colleges right now and where they're student teaching and just talking to other schools, that those are the two top ones that come up that.
Okay.
Any questions about it? About the curriculum or?
You made a comment that it was the third time in 30 years you've seen a curriculum change in terms of this.
This is about the third time that we've gotten new math series.
Okay, and is the suggestion, just so as we move forward, is the suggestion it should happen more quickly or more frequently? Or
Well, we do have a review of our books and our system, and it hasn't happened lately in math, and it's time for a different change. That's where I feel as teaching, yes. I do feel that we should look at how you're teaching, what you're using. I mean, math is math, I agree with that, but I do feel that for example, in the Saxon math, they'll have a floppy disk on there for something, and the kids don't know what that is anymore.
How quaint.
Yeah, and so those are some of the things that you try to teach real world concepts and to things, and that's one of the, just some of the pictures they might use or the concepts of what they're adding, those kind of things. So that's where I would say that, yes, I do think we need to look at our curriculum and update it, in all different ways for different reasons.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Boyd's been good about that, dragging data in here. We're going to look at some of it a little later on that I think is applicable, but in terms of that sort of pulse of scoring and whether it correlates to different classes as they go through different cohort groups, I guess, to use the Jeff Nelson term, but as they go through the school system and see where the inception of this program, where it ends up, 10 years down the road.
And you should see, anytime you do get new math curriculum, you should see a surge of scores a little bit. I mean, they will go up a little bit, just because you are getting new curriculum. The teachers are fresh at doing it.
Yeah.
They're trying to be more intuitive about, teaching it the proper way, rather than you've had it for 10 years, it's math. You just kind of.
There's a lot to it. The other school, and actually the person who came to visit with us, for those who were teaching it, said there's no way you can implement everything your first year. It's going to take you 3 years to be able to even get every component going. And so, you really have to, I think other teachers, if this is what we're getting for sure, should get it before school, before in service, because it is a lot. It's a lot to look into, but it's super worth it. And change is change, but it's super easy to follow for teachers. It's low prep for teachers. So.
Ivy's going to get a taste of it in about 4 years, right?
Yeah.
5 years.
And Math Mountain's like a pro. So.
Okay.
You gotta smile, Jeff. You got her thumb
Because I
in
got rid of her. She got away
Got
from me.
mom back, yeah.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
So that'll be in May, board approving the math expressions curriculum.
All right. On to the board committees. Policy committee. Looks like we got the employee handbook. Yeah, that was in the packet, wasn't it?
Yep, it's in the packet. I think it's final draft.
It's just at the stage where we need to find any last errors, and if there's anything that doesn't make sense, we've looked at it so much, and if other people have fresh eyes.
Yeah. Did you guys look it over, see anything?
As though I was correcting it.
No, I
That was-
read it kind of through general
It
context,
should
but I
be
didn't.
pretty good, but again, we've
So
looked at it
it's-
a lot.
Out there
Yeah.
for a month, and then we'll do final approval in May.
And is it out there for any other staff or anything at this
We can send it out.
or?
Yeah, I gave it to Crystal and to Diane.
I guess may as well. What do you think? May as well put it out and
Yeah, 'cause
what do you, Jeff, what do you think?
I don't,
Speak now or forever hold
Yeah.
your peace, as
Well-
I say. Take a look at it and if you see silly,
if something
Errors or-
seems like it's just not descriptive enough, or, it'd be nice to know.
Or else find out I didn't think that'd be contentious, but apparently it is. You never know.
And it's not, it's right, it's not policy, it references policy,
it's more processes and procedures.
processes and procedures.
Yeah.
So if there's any discrepancy within the handbook, you always go through your contract. Or it's law. So we can just email it out there. Take a look at it, maybe final approval.
You have to put in your employee badges.
Yeah.
Yes, and then once it's adopted, then that'll be one of our volunteers. Days will be going through that.
Okay.
Or we can take that part out.
Well, I think it's gonna fit with our stuff. It's good practice.
Any other questions about the handbook? All right. I don't think we had anything else from the policy committee, so school forest.
School forest was a short and quick one. We discussed the land swap again. It's sort of an ongoing situation, that chunk of land out of the North Point area for like, up to the north, and are still pursuing options with the state about trading off property there for stuff that's either contiguous to our school forest, like in Pitt. I think there were 2 options that were brought up there, or an option anyway. So that we either enlarge an existing piece of property or take something that's actually more usable than what we've got going right now. I didn't bring our map, and I should have. Most of the discussion revolved around, we finally just backed off and said, all right, we will take charge of planting trees around this campus. Whether or not it's technically on school forest or not, but we seem to have access to the trees thanks to Corinne and the DNR. But we will put them, I think, where we see fit, although I think if anybody out there has a real specific need, for instance, Brent Cole talking about the batter's eye out in center field of the baseball diamond, and that was taken into consideration. And, so extra spruce that you said might or might not be available will end up hopefully being planted out there, whether it's, Jeff and Reed and Lynn Ellis doing it, or if it's actually a school organized, day to do it. And then we are proceeding to plant a bunch of maples on the other side of the football field still, trying to fill that area in. Hopefully Johanna can be tapping those trees, because by the time they're tappable, you and I will be out of the tapping mower thing, right? Not able to bend over to pick the bucket up at that. How long does a maple tree take to get to fruition? 30 years. 30 years? Hey, Joanna, you got stuff going on. You better stay around. That's it in a nutshell.
Okay. Do they have more trees, or is it past the order? It's pretty late now, I would think.
It's a little late, we do have some lucky stormwater to sell.
Okay. I was just thinking that, ask if people want to donate X number of trees or something, if the public, I bet the public would get in on that and buy, I don't know, how much are 25 trees, isn't that what they come in bundle? Yeah, I bet you could get a few people buying in on that.
We can get somebody to donate and then put on the campus somewhere.
Yeah. I'd buy 25 trees for the school,
Right.
so.
Yeah, interesting.
One of our discussions was to spend some time this spring planning and getting it staked out and having the site ready then for next year.
Okay, so we have time. Perfect.
Well, but, yeah.
I bet that's something we can get the public behind.
A bit tangible, people like to have,
Yeah.
hey, I planted it, right? At least watch the third graders plant those things.
Yep.
I have, 4,000 or 5,000 fruit trees on my property. And I'd be more than willing to let you guys take 25 of the 4-foot to 8-foot high ones that you drive out by hand. That would give you a good start around the
Yeah.
field area.
That's the kind of
There we go.
public meeting input we need. That's not a bad idea.
You're welcome to take some. Just, talk, we'll mark out what
The right size to be moved right now. Right, the right time to be moved.
Exactly, right time to be dug up and brought over. All those fields along my Luke driveway, I did that. I did those in 1996, just after they redid the road. So now, 25 years later, those fields are 20, 30 years old.
All right, this is taking off. Anything else from the School Force Committee? All right, Finance, we just met. It was very boring because everything was going along fine. So, which is probably a good thing for the Finance Committee.
There will be a budget revision that will be presented in May, and then the budget for 2020 will be presented.
The revision is just a standard every couple of
Well,
months.
I don't think we've had a budget revision all year. This year, we used to have them more often, but there were a few things that were,
Slight increase in revenue, and then some changes with some of our capital expenditures that she would like to get.
and it would actually reduce our deficit spending. So that was a question that I thought was important.
And that's the question. We're getting really close to the end of the race here. And the proximity to the end is a good sign that we haven't had any real fluctuations, but the potential for a big fluctuation would occur in the last budget update.
No,
No.
there wasn't
Yeah.
any negative connotation.
Yep.
In other words, it wasn't going to increase our deficit, which is,
I think on the budget sheet that was in your packet, I think the equipment was one area that showed 131% of the budget. And some of that was the LED lights that we did out in the parking lot and in the building to get some of that rebate money back. And then I think part of it might be the new bus lease. So those are kind of the lights were really unforeseen expenditures that we didn't budget for.
Does the equipment, it would probably come under a different one, the electric use for that. I'm just wondering if we're going to see a benefit
We
in the
won't,
future here.
you'll see it in
or
our
in a
utility
different one.
bill.
Yeah,
We won't,
and that's in a separate category.
yeah, that would be interesting,
no,
so. Hey, anything else for finance? I think that was about it. Health and safety.
We met on the 27th, and Brian Becklin proposed or told us about a new option on a computer program called Safety Data Sheets. It's basically going to, this company is going to come in and inventory all of our chemicals that are on site, and through a computer program, we're going to just going to have them at our fingertip on what we actually have here, and they'll actually come out to do the inventory for us. It's going to be a cost of about $560 for with an additional one-time cost somewhere between $600 or $900. It kind of sounded like the whole committee was kind of nodding their heads, and it seemed like a good idea to just get in line with this. It's a lot easier than 42 notebooks that we have right now. They're going to take those notebooks and basically put them on a data sheet for us. So we have them. If we have an issue that here's what we got, here's what, or if there's an emergency of some sort to the science department or wherever, that we can access that data a lot easier. Seemed like everybody went along with it pretty good. We're going to do some lead and water sampling. We're going to do about 15 spigots this year. Reed's coordinating that. We're also going to do some radon this year. It's not required, but it's recommended, and we're going to do some. Reed's also going to work with them on strategically placing those and the cost of them. Playground equipment, the wood chips out there are going to need to be replaced. We've gotten like an extra 5 to 10 years out of them already. Reed did thank the custodians for just the extra care and taking care of those. Definitely we got a lot more work for the amount of, we got our money's worth out of them apparently. Some of that equipment out there, is going to need to be, it's beyond repairable. We're going to need to, a couple of the slides need to be replaced, and Reed's also working on that. And it'll be in the budget for fiscal year 20. That's about all I had for that committee.
All right.
The safety stuff that they're chronicling, they're going to take out of our notebooks and put on a data sheet, is that something that then continues to get updated once it's put in that fashion?
Yeah, oh, correct. That's probably one of the mainstays, is it just stays up to date. You know, we can, and it's a requirement that we have that all of a sudden. So, that's all I got from there.
Anyone else? On to the superintendent and elementary principal.
In your pile when you came in, I have upcoming scheduled committee meetings for April and May. And one note with a change, Tuesday, April 30th, we're planning a joint committee meeting for the Buildings and Grounds and Transportation. And that's to look at where this Friday is the deadline for applicants for that position. So we'll see if we have any new applicants. Take a look at them and start looking at what we want to do for interviews. And then May is going to be really busy. Couple things of note. Wednesday, May 15th is MSBA will be on site for listening sessions. And we'd like to have, and that'll be with staff and students during the day. And I adjusted the time from the original schedule because I wanted people to be able to participate with that and be done in time to go and attend our awards night that same night, and that's starts at 7 o'clock in the auditorium. So hopefully the board can make it here at 4 o'clock, and then we'll have we'll do it in the ITV room. So we'll have a time for the community to stop in and go through that process. Perception survey will be uploaded on our website tomorrow as soon as they send it to me, and that will be available through May 27th. I did a plug on the radio this morning for that. We'll have something in the paper this week. And we'll have paper pencil option 2 in the district office. And then we start the following day, May 16th, is the MSBA Strategic Planning Session 1, and that'll be at 6:30 in the auditorium. And then again on May 22nd at 6:30 is our second planning session, and the next day, the 23rd, will be our third and final planning session. So hopefully everyone can get that penciled into their calendar, and I hope we can get staff and the public to participate in the process. Any questions on the schedule?
Are we drumming that up when you talk about going on the radio? I mean, bigger is better.
I think we want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to come in and have input, and so we have a good sense of what the community feels should be a priority for the school.
You should get out there and
Encourage people. Yep, and if you have people, I have a small list started right now of people that have been recommended that I send a kind of a formal invitation to be on the committee, advisory committee. I'm thinking the World's Best Workforce Committee itself would be a good group of people to invite to participate. The ministerial group is another group I was going to contact, encourage their membership to attend. So if you have other ideas of people I should be contacting, or just let me know.
How many schools do they have going on? I know I was at that first meeting. How many, they've got them going on all over the state,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure how many they're
A
doing.
bunch,
this
so
year.
I mean, they keep pretty hopping on
Yep.
this. So they're organized, I know, and they're I've done a bunch of, got some experience doing it.
Yep, I think they got the process down.
Yep. Sure, seemed like it.
So if you have ideas on who I should be reaching out to. So that's the calendar, and then summer camp. Our freshwater summer camp will run June 10th through the 14th, and July 29th to August 2nd, and I think we threw the flyer in the board packet, and they'll be putting brochures together and getting that out. Sign up. Enrollment. District-wide, we're at 475, so we're up 4. And all 4 of those were in the elementary. The high school was stable. The high school's at 214, the elementary's at 260. And we're down 3 from the start of school in September. Saving okay and all that. Our elementary family night, I've had nothing but positive feedback on it. I think it was a wonderful idea, very positive. The whole goal was family engagement, and I think we had family engagement and the community members did, so I think it was a very positive thing. So I'll be surveying staff, deciding how we want to approach it for next year. I think it's a positive alternative to the traditional parent-teacher conferences. Yep. If you get feedback from the public, please just let me know. I don't even know who, just say this is what we're hearing. Or if it's negative, what we can do to make it better. So, but I think overall, combining it, we did the baked potato fundraiser for the band and choir trip. We did basket drawings for all the elementary class. They decided they're going to raise some money for recess games and equipment. So I think we raised like $1,200 just from the elementary for adding some games and some fun things for the recess. So it was good. Good night. A little more effort for staff to put things together, but I think it was okay. And I think that is all I have for my report at this time.
Okay. And move on to the district office. Got anything from Cindy?
Well, I got Crystal's notes that, like Lynn said, for the budget FY19, we will be bringing a revised budget in May. Not a lot changed, but the revenue increased slightly, and we want to reflect the changes of capital expenditures. FY20 budget will be brought to board at the June meeting. We are in the process of compiling capital requests, and we'll be bringing a 5-year plan to the board for approval in June as well. And then the only other thing I had was the pillowcase project, which we had on April 11th, National Tornado Day. We had 3 ladies, one from Badger, one from Greenbush, and one from Roseau, with the American Red Cross, came and did pillowcases with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. They got to decorate a pillowcase, and they talked about things to put in it and natural disasters. It was all free. They were awesome. So hopefully there should be a write-up in the paper about it this week.
Okay. Any questions for Cindy?
How does revenue increase slightly in the course of the school year if your school, in which for your school enrollment drops? I mean, what are the sources of revenue are we looking at?
Different fund. Which was it? We were talking about that. Was it the property tax funding?
The property tax.
I think we had more money from property tax than anticipated.
It was just the budgeting.
Yeah.
Just the budget a little bit differently.
somebody may have built a $1 million house or something and threw off the estimate, or maybe not quite like that, but along those lines. They brought in more property tax revenue for whatever reason. So
It just seems like that number should be out there available right at the beginning of the whole budget process, right?
Well, part of the budgeting process is with your enrollment numbers. You kind of try to anticipate where your numbers are going to be. I mean, it's kind of a guesstimate. Right now, we're guessing for next year. And naturally, you want to be somewhat conservative.
Oh, so your numbers are based on.
So the
what
numbers
showed
are
up the 1st of September, but what you thought.
what we thought were going to show up. You know, and if we have a bigger kindergarten class than what we had originally budgeted, that's going to have a pretty big impact on, you know, so that's part of it. And there was another thing that had been quoted, but I'm not going to bring it up because I won't be able to explain it clearly enough. I'll wait for Crystal to explain it, but it's better to have a revised budget with increased revenue than the other way. So I'm not
going to look too hard at it.
all right, any other questions? We'll move on to high school principal.
I suppose you want me to try a microphone. Also, nice to see you.
I think the microphone's off though.
This thing on.
there.
I guess what I'd like to start off by is, first of all, I'm sorry this paper is kind of set up for the visually impaired. I didn't mean it to be that large.
No, it's appropriate.
I am always looking at ways that we can make our curriculum better here in this school. I'm always looking at ways that we can offer classes. About 4 years ago, when we had the chance to go online welding, that was the direction at that point that seemed to be the best way, just because who has $75,000 to $100,000 to put in brand new equipment and to get a room set up and do all these different things? Well, what I would like us to take a look at is offering a welding class in Lakewood School. The Census Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the need for welders is expected to grow by 26% in 2020. This actually makes welding one of the fastest growing professions in America, and that's from May of 2018. What I'd like to do is have us look at having hands-on welding here at our school. And that would mean new equipment, update the room, provide really good opportunities for our students to excel in a vocational trade that is much needed in this area. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of go through and this approximate budget needs for 1920. We're working with two different price quotes. One is from Bemidji Welding Supply, the other is from Praxair Gas and Welding Supply in Grand Forks. Take a look at just welding equipment. We're looking at a 10-station lab. This does not include the welding supplies as far as the individual welding sticks. It does not include the different gases you're going to be using. But we want to eventually get to equip a 10-station lab. What we're going to have to do is, number two, is take a look at updated electrical. Some piece of equipment use single-phase electricity, some use what is called three-phase electricity, and exhaust in the school welding area. Right now, that is up in the air. I have Reed taking a look at what we can do and what kind of price quotes we can get to increase the amount of electricity we need in that area, and exhaust to take out the fumes and take out the smoke and all the different things from it. Staff in a welding classroom. Eventually, we'll be looking for a 2-hour-a-day teacher for welding. Looking at 1 class hour and 1 prep. We could actually, if everything works out, it would actually be nice to have 2 back-to-back hours plus 1 prep. So by the time you get into welding and you get all your equipment on and you're starting to work, that I actually have it available where students could maybe take back-to-back hours of welding. Now, I'm working with a great group of people. I'm working with Nick Giroux, who is a retired welding teacher from Roseau High School. He's also worked as a trainer over at Flores. I'm working with Mark Friesen, who is a retired welding teacher from Black Duck, and who actually used to teach welding here at the school. And Elaine Hoffman, who's the director of North Country Vocational Cooperative Center in Bemidji. And this little group, we're kind of finalizing what our needs are for our school. Looking at other possible sources of funding, because not everything has to come from Lakeland Woods School. Tomorrow I'm presenting to the Lakeland Woods County Commissioners. I'm working with Lakeland Woods, the Community Fund with Ryan Zemek for possible donation. I made contacts with Brian Fong through the Northwest Minnesota Manufacturers Group. And this group has representatives from Central Boiler and Forest, Marvin Windows, Robonica, Color Manufacturing Solutions. So I'm taking a look at a variety of different people that could help us out. So that's where we're kind of going right now. What my goal is tonight is just letting you know I want to take the next step forward. I want to bring, we're getting price quotes, and in the May board meeting, I want to have basically a full-scale presentation for you in which direction, how we're going to fund this, what kind of equipment, and if you ask what type of equipment, it's going to be pulse welding, it'll do nickel welding, it'll be stainless steel, TIG, the tungsten, and gas welding, shielded metal arc welding. Eventually, we're going to be able to get into plasma cutter welding, which is going to be the CNC, where you're going to be able to have connect to your computer, so you'll have the device go out and cut any type of design. If for example, if you've seen outdoor fire pits that have the really cool design cut around them in steel, you can be able to do things like that eventually. Dual shielded flux core welding, and what's called short circuit transfer welding, and lots of different things that these machines are going to be able to do. Now you ask, who's going to be the teacher? Well, we're in search of that. So I'm kind of looking at the field of dreams approach with this. Walk through it, get all the pieces together to build it, and we'll find somebody that will do a teacher this. I've got somebody in mind right now, I just don't want to push too hard as far as we haven't opened it up yet, we haven't done anything like that. So, questions?
I mean, you're thinking online or getting this set up by September.
That's what I'm looking for, yeah.
Where would you, if we get this going, how many, I mean, having one kid would be successful if they do it. How many would you feel that you would need students to be involved with this would be, I don't know, making it a success, if that's not the right word, but to make it go?
I'm looking at if we offer this for this fall, we would have 10 to 12 students right away.
Have you put it out there on the class application list?
I have not, because I'm watching software, getting bits and pieces and doing things organized.
What grades do you foresee?
11 to 12.
Okay.
Restricting it because you think you're going to get that kind of a turnout, or just makes sense for that age?
Just at that level right now, offering it for 1 hour and just looking at the types of equipment and just take it one step at a time.
Would there be any, I know, when we went through the VOTEC in Bemidji, how many students did we have get involved with that?
Are you the full step?
I mean, did we have a
We
welding?
did the distance one.
Distance one.
We'll actually have one more student that will graduate this spring. We had a total of 6. But it's online, it's not meant for everyone. It was tough. We taught at the college level, the classes were at collegiate level.
And it's a commitment to
And it's
call yourself all the way to Bemidji for Saturday and a Sunday.
Three-quarter, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays throughout the year.
Any certifications that these kids are going to be able to get through this high school welding
I'm
class?
glad you asked that question. Because eventually what we want to do is we want to go do what's called an articulation agreement with Northwest Tech or any tech school that basically they will give you the curriculum, different pieces that they want you to teach here. And when you teach it here, they will honor that for a welding 101, whether it's Northwest Tech or whether it's in East Grand Forks, depends upon where you get your different articulation agreements at.
Knowledge in the classroom is different.
Yeah, and I really want to take this, just kind of throwing this out as far as the whole overall picture. I really want to tie this in with community education, adult basic ed, do some different things where we could possibly, end result, get Claris sending somebody over here at 3:15, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if there's community members that need to be taught some welding skills, and actually have them go work at Claris. So there's different things that we could take a look at. Different offerings.
Is no doubt some other area schools, where's our big welding schools right now?
Warren has welding.
Rosa?
Kellier has welding. Yep, Rosa has welding.
To this level where it's a 1 to 2 hour class type thing, or I guess what do you mean by they have welding?
Well, they have different hours for welding. They maybe have welding 1, welding 2, welding 3, welding 4.
Okay, but it's a welding specific class all the way, okay.
And has Polaris jumped on board on some of these?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure they have.
Yeah, Polaris. Polaris funds.
Monetarily?
Polaris funds a lot of Rosa High School's welding departments.
Our biggest challenge would be our ongoing cost, like the salary, that's a new cost. That would be ongoing, and supplies. I think as far as getting the equipment and the stations built, even the wiring and the exhaust, it might not happen in 1 year, but I think over time those set costs, I think the money can be found. It's just what is the ongoing additional cost, because there will be an ongoing additional cost that will be coming out of the general fund. So that would be the only thing we have to kind of keep an eye on is when we budget for that additional cost.
There was in the health and safety, we discussed it just a little bit that I know Brian talked about the electrical updates, but there would also have to be a ventilation update.
Yeah.
That would probably definitely have to occur. That would be sooner rather than later type.
Before, yeah, that would have to be done before.
That's a pretty spendy one.
Yeah.
You know, I think that it was either Badger or Greenbush spent $100,000.
Yeah, right. And now they got their funds to the Clean Air Act. So that's why, that's why when I was talking to Mr. Nelson about this earlier, a week and a half ago, I want to go slowly. I want to get a variety of different parts and pieces together, and then meet with Nick and meet with Mark Friesen and meet with Elena Hoffman, and just kind of come together and come up with the package. As far as overall costs, maybe we can work with some community engagement with Claris. Maybe they can help us out. Let's leave it at that.
That's a good idea, Brian.
I think vocational training right now, I think is really, really important for our school. And I think there's a very big need out there for right now. And this is new equipment. This is brand new equipment. I haven't even contacted like Miller Electric. They might possibly give us some big donations for some of this equipment. So we're just kind of getting everything organized and putting it together. Any other questions on that?
Might not be realistic to have it all up and going by September. Do you think it is?
We'll see.
I mean, that's a lot of
all about money, it sounds like at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, getting an exhaust system in is going to cost, but like you said, it's also going to take some time.
Well, yeah, and we have the exhaust tubes there already. We have the welding room there. It just hasn't been, it hasn't been used by our students ever since we moved out there.
That kind of curriculum, we're going to work with the class, and our sophomores, the world, senior year. And through the school at the time, it still doesn't keep more knowledge besides sport. Second biggest thing is with the shop. And I will be looking to say that I want 25 minutes away. More with the just wired. I got a dozen of them all in the 1,000 there. They were sent for the result straight anywhere that so now the far got more than other five. They have probably 10 times the one shop with the shop there.
I just worry about all of the logistics of getting everything. I mean, time goes too fast.
And you know what, when we started there, we had 2 TIG welders, 4 arc welders, and a hand laser available. So you don't need to have a TIG with that. Because, you know, how many farmers learn how to arc weld in high school? So I think it was about 5% of the weld, but it's lots of that TIG.
And we also have a classroom available down there. And the students will be in the classroom doing the safety and learning about all the different welding.
Well, I think it's an excellent program, don't get me wrong, I just worry a little bit about the timeline.
Yeah.
But we might get to a point, I think we just have to be realistic, is because our student enrollment's not increasing significantly. So we might have to get to a point where what is a priority? If we add this, what are we going to take?
Yep.
We're going to have to make some tough decisions. There are some other electives that aren't attracting as many students. So we're going to get to that point where can we add more expense with the revenue we have, pay all the bills, or do we have to, if we add here, maybe we have to look at training something else.
Now, would this be something, kind of what Brent, I think, was touching on? Just get a few machines, maybe expand 7th, 8th, 9th grade. I don't know exactly how we have the curriculum set up, but get them into the shop, see how things get all the kids experienced. I know I've harped on this before. Get them using it, and then build into it, and I guess see how it goes from there. But then that way everybody gets a chance to, like I always said, get 2 pieces of metal to stick together, whether or not they do a fantastic job. And then if it builds, if the interest is there, then expand. Because, I don't know, I guess that's the way I'd look at it.
But starting out small and just taking one step at a time.
So hopefully in May you'll have some more numbers and
I will.
cost
I'll be back in May with.
for the exhaust, and we can sit down with Crystal and see what
Actually,
funding streams we have.
next Tuesday, I've got a meeting already set with Mark Friesen and Nick Drew. So I was going to invite you to. All right, just to finish up, we've got lots of different things coming on. We've got backdoor yet on 4/24, 6:30 p.m. We have NHS Induction Scholarship Awards Night, May 15th, 6 p.m. is food, 7 o'clock is ceremony, and then graduation ceremony at May 24th, at 7 p.m. Senior class trip, May 9th and May 10th. And everybody, if you haven't counted the days, there's only 24 days left of school. Next month. 24 days, that's it.
Classroom days or total?
Classroom days.
Okay. I was hoping for total.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Brian.
Great day, effort.
Any messages from buildings and ground? I don't see Reed here, so I don't know if there's too much to report either.
Nothing,
So,
nothing at this time.
okay, community ed?
I don't have a lot this week, or this month, I should say. Our weight room, started 15 this month, so it's pretty much the same as we've had pretty much all year. Softball and baseball registrations went out earlier this month, and as of this afternoon, we had 81 registered so far. That's 3 more than we had all of last year, and I would expect we're probably going to be closer to 100 this year, which I thought is phenomenal. A lot of interest in T-ball and rookie ball. May 11th, we're going to have our pitch, hit, and run competition. That's kind of like the TriStar competition, but for baseball and softball. That's for ages 7 through 14, boys and girls. And lastly, our next Community Ed Committee and Wellness Council meeting is May 8th.
What's the date?
May 8th. What's that? Yep. Any questions?
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
All right, now on to other.
Well, I have to make it.
You can blame me for this one. I asked him to put this one on the agenda.
So what I put together, maybe I misunderstood. I have the comparison that's in the Best Workforce where we compared some different districts. And one of the questions was with the dip. And if you go through, I'm going to go a little slow, it's going to make anyone sick. If you look at all the math, which is on top, some districts more than others, but every district, you'll see a drop from 2010 to 2011. And what that drop is the change from MCA2 test to MCA3 test. So the assessment changed, and this was a pretty common theme across the state. And with the reading, you see the same thing in 2012, 2013. And most districts, that was a pretty dramatic, pretty dramatic. If you look at most of the reading, that was a big hit. Some significant changes on the test specs. And the thing to keep in mind with the way the state of Minnesota does it with the testing and the standards is they always, the bar keeps moving every so much. And every, I can't remember how many years it is, 7 years, 5 years, when they rewrite the standards, and the bar keeps changing and moving over time. So the rigor is getting more rigorous over time.
Scroll down a little bit. Which is this one?
This is Kellier and Lake of the Woods.
Okay, and it's reading. Scroll
This
back
is
up.
reading. This is math.
Math, go up again.
That's
Reading,
reading. That's it.
but, okay, scroll back down. There's 2012, go down to the reading, stop, go back up. Okay.
Yeah, but these are effectively what you're showing there is, I mean, you can start to compare the individual lines, but just the precipitous drop after 2000.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, it makes you feel a little better about life when you watch everybody struggle.
Yeah, I would say I feel we can do better. I mean, I think, this is probably not a good one, but this is Roseau. 2006, 2007. These years in here, this is new implementation of when we adopted the Saxon map. I believe that was adopted in 2007. And other than on this here, 1 year after the change in the test, it's been kind of a steady decline.
Yep.
You know, and this is 3rd through 11th grade. You know, and I didn't put up here, I didn't break it down by grade specific. That's something I can do.
Yep. Could you go to the math spreadsheet?
The math spreadsheet.
Yeah, isn't that one the one where it's got all the numbers and percentages?
That I didn't run into the packet here. I can maybe.
It should be on the Google Drive. Or is it in?
This one?
Yeah, that's the one. Jeff and I had talked earlier and everything, and I guess, like I was pointing out, the ones we want to watch, I was kind of comparing, and there are pitfalls to doing this, as we discussed, but following, what do you call them, cohorts?
Cohort groups, yep.
The same class as they go up through the grades, and the one, like you follow, what would it be? They started 2014.
I saw that they scored abysmally low.
Yes.
Like 19% first year.
Well,
in the 3rd grade testing, and they're still in the school right now. But they came up significantly 2 years later. It's not on this one side.
well, that was probably reading. Like on this one, it would be 2014, so they started out at the very top there in 3rd grade at 39.4%. They kind of bounced around. But the scary part is they're at 18.9% right now, and our trend has been to have drops in the 8th and 11th grades. And so it bears watching, and it may be anomalies, but I mean, you're going from 31.6% in 6th grade down to 18.9% in 7th grade. And again, we've got, and I had asked Jeff and Brian about the ACT scores because, I mean, face it, this is one test and small sample size, so you can have a lot of outliers. I'm not going to bet the farm on any of it, but it's enough to bear considerable watching. So we got to see how those groups do coming up here and to identify anything sooner rather than later. I mean, to me, those numbers are warning red flags in the high school that our math program needs something. We have to give attention somewhere.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I was looking at, because I was looking at the same numbers you were, I don't have that in front of me, but you broke the boys and girls apart.
That was in one, yep.
And
Okay, so you were looking at that data.
right, but it was significantly lower for the boys, and I think what you're doing there is exaggerating an aberration. You know, where you really reduce the microscopic look at the class and say, okay, let's just take this component out. So now instead of, let's say it's, a dozen boys in that class, for instance, you might have a class that just struggles, because the girls, on the other hand, really were scoring, if not even average, above average. They had a good group, but in terms of the entire cohort, it really dragged it down.
I'll have to look at that, because when you look at that cohort data, it's good. It's better information for the teachers and the staff to look at a group and try to plan ahead.
Yeah, they're trends over time.
But
So, I mean, you've got to find out where
you just got to be careful with data, because especially when that gave you that Lake of the Woods data, and we split it for male and female. If you're looking at one grade level, that could be 8 boys.
Yep.
And if you have 8 boys in 5th grade, and they're at 40%, and you have the next year, 2 or 3 of those boys move out, and they just happen to be your highest scoring students, that might be the big skew. So in a small district, when you have, or it could go the other way too. You just have to be very careful, because it's going to be that volatile up and down with each core.
But that's what I liked about the fact you broke it down. I mean, whether you could break it down into different sections, it was just girls and boys at that point.
And I didn't
really do get the aberration.
And I didn't pull out how many of those students might be on an IEP. Most students on an IEP take the state testing, even if they have a disability in math. So that impacts the score. So I mean, there's a lot of things.
I have a question too about how long it had been since the math curriculum in the 6 through 12 had been
2006,
changed.
2007.
So it had been 10 years, 10, 12 years.
Yeah, we just got new,
Oh, I know that, but
No.
before that, I'm
Our
saying.
previous SACs and math was.
well, the low numbers are this year is the main draw.
And they just changed last fall was the first
Yep,
fall with with the new math curriculum, right?
Just for 6th grade and high school.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking, how long had that older math curriculum been used for them?
For Saxon?
Well, no, I don't know what math curriculum 6 through high school used. Was it Saxon as well? Right.
High school did Saxon for a few years.
But I mean, I was trying to figure out how long it had been since a new curriculum had been adopted. I know we just adopted one, but how long before that had it been?
In the elementary, 2007.
Right, but how about high school? That's what I'm asking.
High school, much sooner.
Okay, in that period. I was just curious about it.
They left back
Yeah, I don't think they have had it very long, 2 or 3 years.
Okay. And then they adopted the new one.
Yeah. Here's my thing with the math expressions, it's gonna be like a $60,000 curriculum purchase. And that's over, I expect it to be 6 years. Minimum. We are not a district that can have every 3 years.
No.
changing.
Because next year we're looking at reading, and now that's
Right,
just 60,000
yeah.
in the,
Yeah.
so. Plus
I mean, it's expensive, I understand that.
So that's why we take the time, try to pick the best curriculum and something that is sustainable and usable for more than 2 or 3 years. So we can't spend $20,000 a year on math curriculum, social studies, and that could be, so. We're overdue for curriculum change.
Right, oh yeah, and I mean, I was just trying to figure out what would be a normal cycle for a curriculum like that. Since the MCA is a cycle of about 5 years.
About 5 to 7 years you should be.
So 5 to 7 years, you should be looking at the curriculum.
Yep.
And particularly math and
And
reading.
reading is another one we're behind.
Yeah.
We've done a lot with kind of teacher-developed curriculum that was done years ago. But we've kind of had a changing of the guard the last few years with teachers retiring and new teachers coming in.
And I'm not judging whether it's bad or good, I'm just saying that it, sometimes if the MCA is changing, that does change things.
Yep, and if you look at that data, and I should probably pull the elementary and we could look at the data and see how that whole curriculum went into that start. But it's been, even in the elementary, there's kind of a general trend that it's not meeting the standards, so. And this is the Aspire. And it's supposed to you probably better, you can study this more than I have. But basically, for math, this is grade 8, no, grade 9. And if you look, you might have an extra one that I printed that has highlighted and that you can't read the numbers, so throw that one away. Should have got a new one. And this is ACT national. Average is 425. Our 8th grade was at 425. That's national average. If they would put in Minnesota is usually like number 1 as far as ACT scores for juniors. But national average, we're in the ballpark there. Reading's down a little bit, from 423 is the national average. 8th grade, 421 for us, 423 is the national average. 417, 423, so we're down on both of those a little bit.
We're doing well in science.
And if you go back,
We're better in science.
you were doing better in science. Our
Oh, I guess that's English this time. It was science was in the upper left on one of them.
English, science.
Oh, maybe not.
A little bit more on that. Yep, I believe so.
If you take a look at the map, you've got that little anomaly right there. So the black dot, ACT Aspire, we offer to 8th, 9th, and 10th grade classes. Then 11th grade actually take the ACT class. So where you see the 2 black dots, we look for math down there. For the sophomores, you'll see the black dot where they were for their 9th grade, and then you'll see the next dot where they went for their 10th grade. So they made a considerable increase in points just in 1 year. And we are 1 year into our math curriculum. You're going to see blips like that all over the place because it's a one-shot, so 1 day. But one thing I really like about the ACT Aspire is that every year we do this, you're going to be able to see, and not to use a tracking word, but you're going to be able to see how everybody's doing individually and then as a whole grade.
Do we get the results for their 11th grade when they take the real one?
Do you get the results? Yeah.
You get the results.
Yeah, I get the results.
Okay. How are those the results? Because we don't have.
Well, I haven't done those results this year.
Okay.
Because there are 6 to 8 weeks of.
You get the results on a school-wide basis or an actual individual basis?
Both.
I mean, are we, obviously not with the names necessarily attached to them, but you have individual scores, so you can look at those aberrations and say, well, this kid didn't even put an effort into it. I mean, because that's the problem when you're having the ACT Aspire, right? You're having everybody.
Yeah. Everybody takes it.
So there are a lot of kids who are probably just going to say, this is going to do me any good anyway. I mean, you really are schooling.
Well, and that's the same thing you do if you have trouble with the regular MCA. A student can have 45 questions and they're done in 10 minutes.
Yep.
That really skews the data too. What I will do is when we get the ACT, the official ACT, I will take off all the student names and
We don't want to get a district report.
Yep.
And then find it today. That's fine. But it does give us just broad.
I surprised you on this one. You did great on short notice.
But I think there's a district report that would show general how we compare with the state of Minnesota. Just have
that's real blessed over the years. Actually, we had that in your office on Capitol.
I don't remember. We had it out at one time. But
Well, I appreciate the effort because, for instance, the great example tonight is just how every other school district has that sort of precipitous drop. in the year 2011, 2012 that we've seen for the last couple of years worth of meetings, but finally getting a little grasp of, all right, that's exactly what you meant. You guys understood that. I think it's better for the board and we understand it better.
But we are trending lower than at least I would like us to be.
I agree.
Challenge everyone to see what we can do. And again, I think at the last board meeting, I had mentioned teacher opinions too. I'd love to hear what they think, if they think these are skewed, if they're accurate or what, because I know, well, even from my own kids, that they'd have a poor test grade and they'd have straight A's, and it was just that test concept that threw them off. And that's what eliminates some of those and find out, okay, how are we actually doing as a school? And it's tough to define.
Yeah. When they're 65, but they're still happy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but we are looking at more of a standards-based reporting system. Because you can get things skewed with the letter grade, at least in the elementary. And that's what a lot of this is based on, standards. So we should be reporting on those rather than just giving them A, B, C. Did they meet grade 3 reading standard, this strand, whatever. So, but that's for another discussion, and that's a process to go through, because that's a total different thing for parents and students and teachers to work with. But that's kind of the movement now is more for standards-based reporting. Any other questions, or?
Yeah, thank you.
That's what you have me for.
All right. Anyone else got anything for the working session? I was the one who caused that digression. Anybody need a break? Okay. Oh, we're already half an hour. Oh, well. Let's start the board meeting with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll call it 7:30 on the dot that we started the board meeting. All right, approval of the agenda with the addition of the following action items. Approve resignation of Kyla Strife, a paraprofessional, and award health insurance bid to Northwest Service Cooperative. Need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis.
I'll second it.
We'll give it to Lyon. Second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Same sign. I need approval of the consent agenda. That includes approval of the minutes, approval of invoices and statements, personnel resignations, retirements, and appointments. And that's approved the resignation of Patty Jurdy as special education and approve hiring of Jenny Mormon as language and cultural specialist. Need a motion.
Yes, I will make that motion.
Motion by Lyon,
I'll second that.
second by Ellis. Any discussion?
On the hiring of Jenny Mormon, were the dates correct on that?
There was a June 2018, I saw that too.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's been corrected.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Excited to have her back.
Yep, I would add that that's funded totally towards our Indian education.
Is that what that is?
Yep.
Okay.
Good. She'll do a good job with that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have any board presenters? Written communications. Old business. On to new business. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019-23 to accept $300 donation from Cenex Co-op Services of Baudette for the Ticket to Read program.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Bertram,
Second.
second by Lyon. Thank you, Co-op Services. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019-24 to accept a $100 donation from Hometown Hardware for the Ticket to Read program.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trask,
Second.
second by Bertram. Discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you, Hometown Hardware. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019-25 to accept a $50 donation from the American Legion Auxiliary for Ticket to Read program.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Bertram,
Second.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? Thank you, American Legion Auxiliary. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019-26 to accept $1,400 donation from Williams Youth Association for the Ticket to Read program.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trask,
Second.
second by Bertram. Discussion? Thank you, Williams Youth Association. That's a very generous donation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019-27 to accept a $500 donation from Hasbargen Logging for the Ticket to Read program.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
Second.
second by Bertram. Discussion? Thank you very much, Hasbargen Logging. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Do all those Ticket to Read donations go specifically towards the purchase of tangible books? Is that how
We
that
already have the
works?
tickets in here.
Okay.
All right.
Students get like $5 per student.
Yeah, it's been really well
And then-
received this spring. I know there's some efforts going on within the staff for that, but thank you. It's just every meeting we've got quite a chunk of
Yeah.
contribution coming.
And next year, whatever money's left, we want to continue it for the following year, so we don't have to keep beating down doors to get more money. So we're hoping that people will just continue to give.
Yeah, and it seems like they're willing to.
Yeah.
Good job.
Any other business?
We have, item F needs to be the award health insurance bid
Okay.
to Northwest Service Co-op.
Northwest, okay, I need a motion and a second to award the health insurance bid to the Northwest Service Cooperative.
I'd make that motion.
Motion by Lyon,
I'll second that.
second by Ellis. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else? That's it? Okay, we went over on the working session, but we were done in 7 minutes on
I
the
say that
board agenda, so.
You did well.
the damn generosity to communities what slowed you down.
Oh, yeah, we're on a roll.
Complain about that, though.
Yep. Meeting adjourned at 7:37. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good job.